Gort, Klaatu, Nikto.
What if humanity's greatest threat came in peace? What if an alien visitor arrived not to conquer, but to warn us about our own destruction?
I would like to explain something of my mission here.
The Day the Earth Stood Still wasn't just science fiction, it was Cold War prophecy wrapped in silver spacesuits. These are 20 weird facts you didn't know about the day the Earth stood still. Number 1. The real UFO panic connection. The Day the Earth Stood Still arrived just 4 years after the Roswell incident ignited America's UFO obsession. Real flying saucer sightings were flooding newspapers, government offices, and public consciousness. Producer Julian Blaustein recognized that audiences were primed for serious alien contact stories, not just monster movies. The script deliberately echoed contemporary UFO reports. Metallic discs, mysterious landings, government cover-ups, and peaceful alien intentions misunderstood by military minds. The film's Washington, D.C. setting wasn't coincidental. It was the epicenter of real UFO investigations and government secrecy. By grounding science fiction in current events, the movie felt less like fantasy and more like inevitable reality that audiences were already half expecting. Number 2. Michael Rennie's casting accident. Michael Rennie never intended to become science fiction royalty. The British stage actor was visiting Hollywood friends when producer Julian Blaustein spotted him at a party. Rennie's tall, gaunt frame and naturally authoritative presence caught Blaustein's attention immediately. Despite having zero science fiction experience, Rennie possessed the dignity and otherworldly composure that Klaatu required. His theatrical background gave him gravitas that elevated alien dialogue beyond campy B-movie territory. Rennie initially hesitated, uncertain about American audiences accepting his accent for an extraterrestrial role, but his classical training and natural intelligence transformed Klaatu from typical movie monster into cinema's first truly sophisticated alien visitor, launching a career defined by otherworldly authority. Number 3. The robot that started everything. Gort became the template for every movie robot that followed, but the actor inside nearly suffocated bringing him to life. Locke Martin, a 7-foot 7-inch doorman at Grauman's Chinese Theater, was cast purely for his imposing height. The metallic suit was a claustrophobic nightmare, heavy, poorly ventilated, and nearly impossible to see through. Martin could only wear it for short periods before overheating and gasping for air. The suit's seamless design required careful camera angles to hide breathing holes and movement joints. Gort's silent menace came partly from Martin's genuine discomfort. He moved carefully because he literally couldn't see or breathe properly. The robot that launched 1,000 imitators was born from one man's heroic endurance inside a metal prison. Number 4. Klaatu Nikto Origins.
Gort, Klaatu, Nikto.
The most famous alien phrase in movie history was created by screenwriter Edmund North, who deliberately made it sound ancient and ceremonial. Klaatu Nikto roughly translates to Klaatu be safe, or Klaatu, the earth stands still, though North never provided definitive translation. The phrase needed to sound important enough to save humanity, while remaining mysterious enough to fuel decades of speculation. North studied various languages to create sounds that felt alien yet pronounceable for English-speaking actors. The deliberate ambiguity made the words more powerful. Audiences could sense their importance without understanding their meaning. The phrase became pop culture shorthand for alien communication, referenced in countless films, songs, and books as the gold standard for otherworldly dialogue. Number 5. Cold War censorship battles. Studio executives panicked that the film's anti-violence message would be interpreted as communist propaganda during McCarthyist hysteria. The script's criticism of military aggression and nuclear weapons raised red flags with nervous censors who feared being labeled unpatriotic. Government advisors worried that portraying aliens as more enlightened than humans might undermine American superiority narratives. Director Robert Wise fought to preserve the film's pacifist themes while navigating political landmines. The final script balanced criticism of human violence with patriotic imagery and democratic values. Studio lawyers reviewed every scene for potential communist interpretations. The irony was perfect. A movie warning about humanity's self-destructive tendencies faced potential destruction from human paranoia and political fear. Number 6, the Christ allegory controversy. Religious groups immediately recognized Klaatu's death and resurrection parallels to Christian theology, sparking fierce debates about blasphemy and spiritual appropriation. The alien visitor who comes to save humanity, dies for his message, and returns to life seemed deliberately designed to provoke religious controversy. Some Christians embraced the film as spiritual allegory, while others condemned it as sacrilegious science fiction. The scene where Klaatu takes the human name Carpenter made the biblical connections impossible to ignore. Screenwriter Edmund North later admitted the religious symbolism was intentional but subtle, designed to give the story mythic resonance without offending believers. The controversy proved the film's power to make audiences think deeply about salvation, sacrifice, and humanity's spiritual potential through science fiction metaphor. Number 7. Patricia Neal's career transformation. Patricia Neal's portrayal of Helen Benson, the woman who bridges human and alien understanding, became the template for strong female characters in science fiction. Neal brought intelligence and emotional depth to a role that could have been typical screaming damsel territory. Her scenes with Rennie crackle with intellectual curiosity rather than romantic cliché, establishing her as Klaatu's equal rather than his conquest. Neal's performance influenced how Hollywood wrote women in sci-fi for decades, proving audiences wanted complex female characters who could engage with cosmic themes. The role launched her toward eventual Oscar recognition and established her as one of cinema's most dependable dramatic actresses. Her grounded humanity made the alien contact story believable and emotionally resonant for skeptical audiences. Number 8. The Pentagon's secret cooperation. Despite the film's critical stance toward military aggression, the Pentagon quietly provided technical advice about realistic government responses to alien contact. Military consultants helped design protocols for extraterrestrial first contact scenarios, lending authenticity to the fictional crisis management. Defense advisors ensured the military characters behaved professionally rather than as cartoon villains, maintaining respect for service members while criticizing institutional policies. The cooperation created fascinating contradictions, real military minds helping craft a story that questioned military solutions. Pentagon involvement also provided access to authentic equipment and locations that elevated production values beyond typical B-movie budgets. Number 9. Bernard Herrmann's otherworldly score. Bernard Herrmann revolutionized science fiction music by abandoning traditional orchestral arrangements for electronic and theremin-based compositions that sounded genuinely alien. The theremin's ethereal wailing became synonymous with otherworldly presence, influencing decades of sci-fi soundtracks. Herrmann's score avoided typical dramatic cues, instead creating atmospheric soundscapes that made audiences feel they were experiencing something beyond human understanding. Electronic instruments, still experimental in 1951, gave the film futuristic authenticity that purely orchestral scores couldn't achieve. The composer's innovative approach influenced everyone from Jerry Goldsmith to John Williams. Number 10. The Flying Saucer's practical magic. The spacecraft that lands in Washington, D.C. was created through ingenious practical effects that still impress modern audiences accustomed to CGI spectacle. The full-size saucer was built as a practical set piece, allowing actors to interact naturally with the alien technology. Miniature work combined with forced perspective photography created the illusion of massive scale without enormous budgets. The ship's seamless design influenced decades of UFO imagery, establishing the classic flying saucer aesthetic that became cultural shorthand for alien visitation. Lighting effects and careful camera work made the metallic surface appear otherworldly without obvious tricks or wires. Number 11, the power blackout sequence. Demonstrating Klaatu's ability to shut down Earth's technology required complex coordination between multiple film crews across different locations. The sequence showing global paralysis, stopped trains, dead radios, frozen machinery was filmed separately, then edited together to create worldwide scope. Each blackout scenario required careful planning to show technology failing without revealing the film's limited budget. Stock footage combined with original photography created the illusion of global impact from localized filming. The effect demonstrated alien power more effectively than any weapon or destruction, showing peaceful superiority that was somehow more threatening than violence. Number 12, Sam Jaffe's scientist inspiration. Professor Barnhart, the Einstein-like scientist who becomes Klaatu's human ally, was directly inspired by real atomic age physicists wrestling with nuclear weapons implications. Sam Jaffe studied actual scientists' mannerisms and speech patterns to create authentic intellectual authority. The character represented the scientific community's growing concern about humanity's self-destructive capabilities, giving voice to real researchers who understood atomic power's terrible potential. Jaffe's performance captured the moral weight carried by scientists who had unlocked forces they couldn't control. His scenes with Rennie demonstrated how true intellectual equals might communicate across species barriers, suggesting that science and wisdom could transcend planetary boundaries. Number 13, the hospital escape scene. Filming Klaatu's resurrection and escape from Walter Reed Army Hospital required unprecedented cooperation from medical facilities concerned about portraying hospitals as incompetent. Real medical personnel consulted on authentic hospital procedures, while ensuring the escape remained believable. The sequence needed to show alien superiority without making human doctors appear foolish or negligent. Careful choreography demonstrated Klaatu's advanced healing abilities, while respecting medical professionalism. Security concerns arose about filming in actual military medical facilities, requiring diplomatic negotiations between studio representatives and hospital administrators. The escape became a perfect demonstration of alien capabilities, peaceful, non-violent, but utterly beyond human ability to prevent or understand. Number 14, international reception differences. Foreign audiences interpreted the day, the Earth stood still, through vastly different cultural lenses than American viewers, creating fascinating variations in meaning and impact. European critics saw anti-American commentary, where U.S. audiences found patriotic warnings about nuclear responsibility. Soviet bloc countries banned the film entirely, viewing it as capitalist propaganda disguised as universal peace messaging. Japanese audiences, still processing atomic bomb trauma, connected deeply with the nuclear destruction warnings. British viewers appreciated the film's intellectual approach to science fiction, contrasting it favorably with American monster movies. Number 15, the remake rights battle. For decades, studios attempted to remake The Day the Earth Stood Still, but the story resisted modernization efforts that missed its Cold War context and philosophical sophistication. Multiple screenwriters struggled to update the nuclear age allegory for contemporary audiences without losing its essential message. Studio executives wanted more action and less talk, failing to understand that the original's power came from ideas rather than spectacle. Rights holders protected the property from shallow exploitation, while seeking filmmakers who understood its deeper themes. The eventual 2008 remake proved how difficult it was to recapture the original's magic without its specific historical moment and careful craftsmanship. Number 16, the silver screen's first serious alien. Klaatu revolutionized extraterrestrial portrayal by abandoning bug-eyed monster conventions for dignified, intelligent alien representation that influenced science fiction forever. Previous movie aliens were either cute creatures or horrible monsters, never sophisticated beings capable of philosophical discourse. Michael Rennie's performance established aliens as potentially superior to humans intellectually and morally, challenging audience assumptions about human cosmic importance. The character's calm authority and ethical sophistication made Earthlings seem primitive by comparison, reversing typical invasion story power dynamics. Klaatu's peaceful mission and tragic misunderstanding by fearful humans created sympathy for the alien visitor rather than the human defenders. This revolutionary approach influenced everything from Star Trek to Close Encounters, establishing the template for benevolent alien contact stories. Number 17, Robert Wise's directorial vision. Robert Wise transformed from musical and drama specialist into science fiction master through his thoughtful, grounded approach to fantastic material. His background in realistic filmmaking brought unexpected gravitas to alien visitation, treating the premise with documentary-like seriousness. Wise avoided campy B-movie conventions, instead directing The Day the Earth Stood Still like a political thriller that happened to involve extraterrestrials. His restrained visual style made the fantastic elements more believable by anchoring them in recognizable reality. The director's respect for the source material and philosophical themes elevated science fiction beyond genre ghetto into serious cinematic territory. Wise proved that skilled filmmakers could bring artistic credibility to any subject matter through careful attention to character, theme, and authentic emotion. Number 18, the Lincoln Memorial Scene. Filming at the Lincoln Memorial created powerful symbolic resonance between American democratic ideals and alien observations of human potential. The location wasn't chosen randomly. Lincoln's legacy of preserving Union and freeing slaves resonated with Klaatu's mission to prevent humanity's self-destruction. The monument's majesty provided visual grandeur while connecting alien visitation to America's highest aspirations rather than its worst fears. Securing permission to film at the sacred site required extensive negotiations with government officials concerned about proper representation. The scene's quiet dignity contrasted sharply with typical science fiction spectacle, using national symbolism to ground fantastic elements in recognizable values. Number 19, Box Office Versus. Critical Legacy. The Day the Earth Stood Still earned modest profits during its initial release, but gained massive cultural influence through decades of critical reevaluation and popular rediscovery. Contemporary audiences weren't fully prepared for its sophisticated themes and subdued approach to science fiction spectacle. Television broadcasts, film school curricula, and home video releases gradually revealed the movie's depth and prescience to new generations. Critics eventually recognized it as one of cinema's most intelligent science fiction films, praising its philosophical sophistication and social commentary. The film's reputation grew as its nuclear age warnings proved increasingly relevant to ongoing global conflicts and technological dangers. Number 20. The Message That Echoed Through Time. Klaatu's ultimatum about joining galactic civilization or facing destruction remains disturbingly relevant 70 years later, as humanity continues struggling with nuclear weapons, environmental destruction, and global cooperation. The film's central warning, that technological power without wisdom leads to extinction, speaks directly to contemporary concerns about artificial intelligence, climate change, and international conflict. Each generation discovers new relevance in the alien visitor's message about choosing between peaceful coexistence and mutual annihilation. The film that asked whether humanity deserved to survive still poses that question today. If an alien visitor arrived tomorrow with the same ultimatum, what would your answer be? Hit that subscribe button and tell us what legendary tale we should uncover next.